Hello and welcome to this edition of Big Fish Small Pod. As always, Big Fish Small Pod is presented by MPT College Consulting. You can check them out at mptcollegeconsulting.com. And Marlins fans, we continue my series on interviewing those people in the media outlets, or even have some reference toward the team on current Marlins draftees. And today, joining me from Hog Sports 247 in Arkansas, Jackson McAfee. Jackson, it is great to have you on to talk a little bit about this future hog, or I should say future Marlin.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on. It's a big deal for me. First time doing something like this.
Awesome. Happy to do that. So let's talk a little bit about the player in we're going to be mentioning Jake Faherty, coming from Arkansas, relief pitcher. Signed with the Marlins for $200,000, 11th round draft pick. For a lot of maybe Marlins fans and a lot of us maybe in the media watching this draft pick, we were really surprised the Marlins selecting him. Maybe not because of his ability, but the amount of pitches and the amount of innings that he did throw for the Razorbacks. I'm looking here, not even 16 innings, 15 and 2/3 innings. Arkansas. So Jackson, tell me a little bit about Jake, because that 16 innings, just most of it, or I should say a good portion of it, just came from 2024, even though he's been there quite a while.
Yeah, the thing with Jake Faherty is that the reason that I think the Marlins probably selected him, and that's probably for a lot of people who select pitchers, is that he throws heat. He is a 98 to 99 mile per hour fastball guy. He displayed that this year. And funny thing is that, like, as you said, like, this is like he was really showing off this year. He only had like a combined one career inning in his first 2 years with Arkansas before going into his junior year. The problem is that, yes, he could throw 98 to 99 miles per hour, but there's one small catch: he couldn't control the fastball. He was kind of everywhere. I mean, basically, it's the movie Wild Thing it's the movie Major League and Wild Thing, Charlie Sheen. That's basically who he was at first. They had to teach him control, and then eventually, he started hitting the strike zone, started throwing strikes, and eventually they were like, okay, we're ready to display this guy. We're ready to show him. So, I mean, it was a little bit long time coming for Jake, but he was ready to take them out that year.
Yeah, and with Jake, talk to us a little bit about him as a person. Again, maybe some Marlins fans, and even for myself, maybe not so much watching him in terms of the SEC and following Razorback baseball like that. But tell us a little bit about Jake, maybe maybe off the field as well, just how important he was in him as a person.
Well, Jake Faherty, I mean, we didn't get to talk to him a whole lot. We only talked to him about once, but what we saw, he was a pretty self-centered dude, pretty respectful young guy. He was he has a unique look to him. I mean, he's basically what a pitcher mostly looks like a tall, lanky, 6'3", 185 pounds. He was just a regular guy coming in to Arkansas. I mean, he was just a pretty good guy. Nothing really much to say because, again, we didn't really get to talk to him that much, but overall, great guy, and it was fun to see him finally take the mound after being built up for these first 2 years.
Yeah, and with those first 2 years, talk to us, a little bit what happened to him with those first 2 years. Looking at it, just 1/3 of an inning, 2/3 of an innings. To what was it really? Those 2 years, was it injury, or maybe not just fitting into maybe how the roster was set up? Just how did those first 2 years about for Jake?
Yeah. And like I said, Jake just struggled with command. Again, he was a great fastball. He could really throw it, but the problem was that he just couldn't find the strike zone. I mean, in his second career appearance, in his only lone appearance in his sophomore year, they went up against Wright State. He recorded 2 outs, but he gave up about 3 runs and some walks in there, a hit or two. But they reassessed it and they thought to themselves, yeah, we're not ready to put him in games yet. We still need to work on him. He was still a project in the making, but it was good that he stuck around, that they kept working with him, because you feel like sometimes with the transfer portal, people will just exit and go either some other route, but he stuck around and he he really worked on his craft, and he really just found his way in that strike zone. I mean, and it was prevalent in the Oregon State game, the Kubota College Baseball Series, as we all know, the Hagen Smith 17 strikeout game. He picked up the save, and I thought he was going to be the closer after that, but he came in with a runner on second, the top of the nine with a 1-run lead. Throws a wild pitch to put the runner on third, and that's already tough enough. But then he strikes out the next two guys, and then you're thinking to yourself, well, I mean, besides the wild pitch, he really locked in after that and getting the last two outs and securing the victory.
Yeah, mentioning that I was going to bring up that game, against Oregon State at Globe Life, going against top competition, first overall pick. There's so many guys drafted from that Oregon State lineup. How do you think Jake fared against that top competition? Do you think that's maybe something that he can transition and use going into ball, where you're going to face guys who have maybe been there, done that, and have been playing, every day, maybe since they were just kids?
Absolutely. I mean, in that moment, it was kind of a stressful moment. I mean, you could see because they posted the whole game, the Flow Baseball posted the whole game on their YouTube page. I mean, if you skip to that part, you could see he was a little bit nervous. His legs were moving a little bit while he was setting up in the pitch, but he locked in and he was able to get those two strikeouts. But he can do it against top talent. I mean, I could tell you another thing. Back in the last game of in the Florida series, he struck out Jack Caglione, who hit a grand slam in that game, and it was 3-1. And Arkansas, they were thinking about intentionally walking him, make it 4-1 game, so you don't have to give up a grand slam or fear that. But of course, they rolled the dice and the grand slam was given up. But whenever granted it was late, 8th or 9th inning, he struck out Cags, one of the most dominant hitters this year in 2024. So he can go up against high level players. He can get those outs. He is a strikeout guy, so he's going to grind the at bat out.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. Looking at his Ks per nine, just 16 strikeouts per 9 innings. Just how do you see maybe his strikeout stuff, and maybe how you could see that going transitioning into pro ball? Because I can imagine that's another reason why the Marlins wanted him, just a high strikeout guy who would go ahead and get you out and get out the batters.
Especially, yes, sir. Especially if there's runners in scoring position with less than 2 outs, 1 out, runner on second, or 1 out with runner on third, and you don't really need the ball hit and play. He can blow the ball past hitters, get strikeouts. I mean, of course, he's got to hit the strike zone, and even the times where he may miss the strike zone a little bit, guys are going to chase out of the zone and eventually could K him up, and he's just that guy who's trying to work around the zone. Not afraid to work in the zone. I mean, he's not afraid to blow one right past you. And sometimes maybe someone gets a hit off him, but it's just going to be maybe a foul ball, and it's going to be a last second desperate swing.
Yeah, and with Jake, getting that routine, getting more innings, more experience. Just what is maybe something you would see with Jake? Maybe something he can just improve on. Not to say maybe anything's bad, but just something, if he can improve one thing, that can certainly take him to that next level.
Well, you think his command, but I think it's probably getting better as it going. It's probably going to get better as he goes. But I think another one is just to save some more pitches. Probably try to throw pitches for outs, like ground balls and liners, fly outs, and stuff like that. I mean, he was actually in a Cape Cod league during the summer, and then of course he got drafted, so he's no longer there. But he was getting guys for outs, and he was throwing pitches for outs. Of course, he had some high strikeouts in there, so I think that's something he's been improving on, just getting outs, whether it comes from a strikeout, whether it comes from a ground out or anything of that nature. But yeah, but for the most part, I mean, he's been really working on his command and really working on that and trying to get it in the zone.
Just how do you see his pitch mix at Arkansas? With relievers, it could be very difficult in terms of maybe what they throw or how many pitches, what kind of pitches that they do throw. Or what's a little bit of an arsenal for Jake that maybe we can expect him to throw, and maybe what you saw from him with the Razorbacks?
Well, first thing is his fastball. I mean, 98 to 99. He probably is going to top out. He could probably top out in the triple digits at some point. You'll see a slider or two here and there to throw off hitters. I mean, if he's not throwing his fastball, it's going to be his slider, or it's going to be one of such of a changeup or some sort of breaking pitch. He does have at least one breaking pitch that can throw off hitters. But yeah, I mean, when you think Jake Faherty, you think flamethrower, and you think fastball. So I mean, that's his number one pitch, but he will mix it up a little bit to try to mess with hitters.
Well, Jackson, that's going to do it. 10 minutes, big fish, small pod for a reason. Keep it short and simple, but I want to appreciate you coming on. And where could these Marlins folks maybe find you on Twitter, blog, podcast? Where could they find you? Maybe a little bit of Marlins Arkansas crossover.
Absolutely. On Twitter, it's J McAfee 247, and our website, the website under 24/7 Sports is hogsports.com. We're currently about to hit football pretty hard this season. Of course, the SEC has now grown to 16 teams with the addition of Texas and OU. So a lot of stuff's going on there.
Awesome. Well, Jackson, I appreciate you coming on, man, and have a great rest of your day.